Time is now 6 p.m. I call this meeting of the Smith County Emergency Services District Number 2 Board of Directors to order. I do certify there is a quorum present with Commissioner Dominy, Commissioner Wilson, and myself. Absent is Commissioner Thornton and Commissioner Edwards. And at this time, I'll ask Larry to lead us in a prayer and pledge of allegiance to the United States and Texas flags.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to come together. Please watch over our service members and public servants as they protect our communities and our nation. We pray today for the wisdom of the board as they make decisions in the best interest of the taxpayers and citizens of Smith County ESD2. Please watch over everybody on their way home. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. All right. Also, I would ask everyone if they would to silence their cell phones and any other devices at this time. And item 3 is recognition of guests and special presentations. We have Mayor Jeff Hale and other councilmen here from the city of Troop. Glad to have y'all here tonight, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Mr. Winchester, I'm sorry. So anyway. All right, item number 4 is public comment. Any individual may sign the provided form, request permission to make comments to the board concerning matters that are on the agenda. The time limit for each person's comment shall be 3 minutes. The board may not deliberate on items or matters not listed on the agenda. Well, I had 2 people sign up for public comment tonight, but since that's not on the agenda, gentlemen, I cannot allow you to speak. Which was on ESD2 volunteer recruitment. So, number 5 will be the consent agenda. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll requests for reimbursement, requests for other payments, and transfer of funds, and amendments. So, I've looked at all the bills, and all of them seem to be in order. Unless somebody has a question about something under 5.1, I will entertain a motion to pay those bills.
The only comment that I have under J&J Commercial Services, the value that is listed at $5,707.56. You look at the attachment that I was able to pull up earlier today, and there's only one invoice in there for $900. So without those invoices attached, I don't know if we actually need to approve anything over those attached.
Okay. All right. Does anybody know where the other invoices are? Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. If we don't have an invoice to match it, then. Yep. I'm glad you caught that. I didn't catch that one. Thank you, Mr. Dominy.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the items under 5.1 in a revised amount of $1,374,734.72.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy. We pay those bills for the amount stated for the record. Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? We just need to get those other invoices so we can get those paid. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. and that motion carries. Okay. I would like to skip item 5.2 at this time and come back to it at a later time if we could, and move on to 5.3, which is the district credit cards.
So the only comment that I have there is in under a couple of different ones, that the information that's provided does match the value that's stated, but the detail page preceding it, was not visible. One in particular was Kirk Rental, so we only took a picture of the second page, and it tell what the expenses are for, that have been charged against it. And another one was East Texas Equipment. I say it's only a payment receipt, no details, and then we need to be a little bit more diligent about not making sure that we have the name of the attendees on any receipts that we have produced as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, and I know what the rental was, but for sake of making sure that we have
Back up.
accurate records, I'm bringing this up to make sure that we more diligent about making sure we have everything. Whose credit card was it? Chief Clinton's, Ms. Garner's, and
Okay.
so that noted, I'll make the motion that we approve the credit cards at a 5.3, amount of $43,350.77.
Have a motion by Commissioner Domley. We pay the district credit card bills in the amount of $43,350.77. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.4 is our contract payments to our vendors for paging service, cable, electricity, paper call, and the stipends, in the total amount of $90,184.92. Okay. Here.
Motion to table.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson. We pay our contract payments in the amount of $90,184.92. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Domney. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.5. This is for board information only on the benefit payments to our healthcare provider, dental and vision insurance, and benefits that we have. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas for employee health insurance is $90,942.67. And employee dental and vision insurance is $7,659.54. And it falls within the criteria for approval, so, that we've already said. Item 6 will be the approval of minutes. 6.1 will be the Board of Commissioners minutes for July 22nd, 2024. I saw nothing wrong with it.
Do you want to go ahead and just do them individually or do them as a group?
We can do them as a group. That way, okay. Well, we can do 6.1, which is the Board of Commissioners minutes on July 22nd. August 3rd, or 6.2 will be the August 3rd budget workshop minute, and 6.3 will be August 10th budget workshop minute. So, okay, have a motion by Commissioner Domney and a second by Commissioner Wilson. We approve the Board of Commissioner minutes meetings for July the 22nd, 2024, the August 3rd, 2024 budget workshop minutes, and the August 10th, 2024 budget workshop minutes. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Item number 7, Executive Director's Administrative and Financial Report.
Okay, as always, I'm not going to repeat everything that you have in my written report. Instead, I will focus on a couple of highlights. And the first highlight is the upcoming elections for single member districts 1 and 4. We have 2 candidates incidents. Everybody thought it was fair, and we are simply proceeding towards getting the ballots initial printout from the county election administrator, so we can review those. So that will be the next step in the process. The county, they've been working on a new CAD, which I'm sure most of you are aware, and the initial plan has essentially been put aside, and the new plan is to work with Motorola on basically adjusting the CAD they have and incorporate the fire module. So Chief Reeser and Larry have been working with the county to make sure that our needs are met, and whichever plan they end up adopting in the end, I feel pretty certain that we have accounted for any realistic eventuality in the upcoming proposed budget, so we should be okay, whatever they end up doing. The recruitments are in full speed and progress, and Chief Reeser and Sherry are having good progress, I'd say, on it. There's quite a few applicants on both the firefighter and the lieutenant positions. The budget workshops we have completed. The next step is on September 9, when we have the hearing on the tax rate. And then on September 16, we have the public meeting to adopt the budget and the tax rate. So over the next couple of weeks, there will be notices posted on our website and notices published inside the Tyler Morning Telegraph paper. So we fulfill all the legal requirements for having these meetings. Concerning the sales tax, the latest collection that we got, if you back out the 606,000, which was a one-time collection August last year, you basically net out at a negative 0.6, 0.7%. So it's still negative growth, everything else being equal. So we're probably looking at around $1 million short on projected original budgeted sales tax collections versus what we think now would be the actual number. We have plans in place to cover that, and we intend to present the proposed budget transfers and budget amendments to the board in the next board meeting. All remaining cash balances at Vera Bank has been transferred to Regions. Keith had a very well-prepared check to actually make that transfer. And then when he checked with the bank the last minute, there was a 6-month-old check for $20 that had been cashed. So we didn't have coverage for the check, so we took $100 from petty cash and made a deposit in the Vera Bank before we cashed the check. That took care of that. All the various insurance, property and casualty insurance policies we have in place is right now undergoing a complete review and validation to make sure that we have coverage for all items, and we don't have redundant coverage for items that are no longer in our possession. And we have also formally designated the finance department to be in charge of insurance policies for property and casualty. So in the past, there's been no clear assignment of ownership of that practice, so we have designated finance to take care of that. So that's all I have for my verbal highlights, and I'm available for any questions.
Good timeline on Ken, when they make this final decision.
The county really has already made the decision that they're working directly with CAD right now, with Motorola, on revamping the current CAD. So that's the development team is already working with. Whether or not the fire module is brought in play will be the next piece related to ESD1, ESD2, and City of White House. So tracking that if approvals were in place for October 1, the goal is to complete by the end of the year.
Any idea what our cost is gonna be?
I do have a cost that's been about 135 is the cost to Motorola, 135,000. That doesn't take into account any hardware that we might need, AVL equipment, things like that. But what we incorporated in budget should be tracking pretty close to what we need.
All right. 7.2, discuss, consider, and taking action on professional development reimbursement for Chief of Operations. As part of an agreed upon path professional development, we are proposing a reimbursement of $4,188 in professional development tuition expenses incurred by Chief of Operations Eric Reeser. You gonna speak on that, Eric?
Sure. At the beginning of the fiscal year, the current fiscal year, I had arranged for a line item budget for professional development expenses incurred for all of my direct reports. And for Chief Greaser in particular, when we sat down and discussed what would be the best path, we concluded both that the best path would be for him to continue taking courses in his master's program, which is fire science related, executive fire science related. And what you have in front of you are 4 classes where he completed and he got the grade A in those classes. And based on the formula that we agreed, which was 100% reimbursement for A and then a declining schedule until fail, which would be 0 reimbursement, I propose that we make this reimbursement according to original agreements.
Congratulations, Chief.
Yep. Yep.
Good job, well done.
Good job.
I don't know where to find the time, but I'll be glad when it's over.
Yeah. All right.
I'll make the motion that we reimburse Chief Greaser $4,188 for successful completion of the 4 professional development classes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dominic, we reimburse Chief of Operations Eric Greaser $4,188 for his professional development tuition expenses, having made A's in all 4 classes. I have a second. Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. Item number 8, financial reports. Mr. Bean, I think that's you, unless somebody else is doing it.
So, with the board's permission, I was gonna look specifically at the budget of actual report and at the operating. So looking at that report, our property tax should be at 100% realized for the year. Before I get ahead, this is through July, so we're at 10 months through the year, so we should be right at about 83%. So again, property tax or ad valorem tax, we anticipate receiving 100% of the budgeted revenues for that. Sales tax, Eric has talked about in his executive report. It's, as you're aware, not what we had hoped. Overall, our total revenues are right at about 80% of what we've budgeted. Also, as Eric mentioned, at our next board meeting, we plan to bring a budget amendment and a budget transfer. The delay is just, I just want to be real cautious and conservative, specifically with the revenues. And we know we can anticipate expenses, but revenues, I just really want to be careful. Our personnel cost, our compensation, we're conceivably going to spend more than we budgeted, but our benefits, we have some budget surpluses, so overall, and then also if you weave in the TIFMAS income, our personnel costs should be right on target for the year. Moving on down the page for administration, we are expecting to utilize really 100% of that budget. We'll have our sundry principal and interest payments typically or historically in September. And once those become available and are processed, again, there'll be very little flexibility in the administrative budget. So again, we'll utilize 100% of it. fire administration, operations, we currently utilize, with encumbrances, approximately 77% of the available budget for operations. There are some significant encumbrances in tools and equipment, and then there's some balances as well, or surpluses in those lines as well, but I feel those will probably get encumbered, and those will roll over as part of the purchase order rollover that occurs at the end of the fiscal year. So I suspect we'll utilize close to 100% of that budget in this fiscal year. For facilities, probably in the facilities total, we'll have some surpluses, but that's really related more to some of the maintenance work that necessarily didn't need to occur. And then also with fuel, if you look at fuel, we'll have a fairly significant surplus in fuel. So support services overall, we've utilized approximately, if you add encumbrances, we've utilized about 82% at this time, so we're pretty close to where the target should be. Overall expenses, we've spent about 18.7 million, have about 500,000 in encumbrances out of a $24.7 million budget. That is right at 84%, it's almost perfect. That was all I was going to cover, unless anyone had any other questions that I could try to address.
Yeah, you're doing a good job of keeping us informed throughout the year, so no surprises. Appreciate it.
All right. Do you want to approve the financials as submitted, or?
No, they're for information.
Okay, all right. All right, 7.2, oh, excuse me. Item number 9, Director of Human Resources. Item 9.1, workforce injuries. For discussion only, no action to be taken.
For the month of August, we had one claim that was that resulted in a loss of hours, and that was for a lower leg burn. They did work light duty for a couple days, but they were released to full duty with no restrictions August 20th.
Okay, great.
So that's good news.
And 9.2 is your report, Ms. Sherry.
Yes. Unless you have questions, I did have a couple things I wanted to point out on the report. One is, as previously mentioned, we are taking applications through September 6th for firefighter and lieutenants. As of today, we have 40 firefighter applications and 9 lieutenant applications. So those are coming in good. We've still got more time to collect more. And then the next thing I wanted to point out was benefit open enrollment. I did have on there that we were gonna try to get that done the last week of August, but due to trying to get all the materials back in from the broker, we're gonna have to push that to the first week of September. So we're planning on doing September 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. And those will be 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. meetings. And they will be in person. I plan on recording at least one of them so that those that do miss those will also have the opportunity at least to listen in on a recorded meeting. And unless you had any other questions, that's all I had.
No? Questions, Grant?
No, have you? Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sherry.
Thank you.
Item 10, Community Outreach Coordinator's Report. Nikki?
Hi, good evening. So you can see in my report just some highlights from the last month, which have involved a lot of training and then a significant amount of information going out to the community about our TIFMIS deployment, which included a live interview, well, not a live interview, but a Zoom interview from the field today with Chief Clanton with one of our local news stations. So that was pretty exciting just to be able to share what they're really facing and what's going on down there. And if you've been following us online, then you know that not only have we exchanged a team, but we've sent an additional team to another area. In addition to that, we had several of our career firefighters and volunteer firefighters participating in their Wildland Skills Day. That had a big turnout, which was pretty great. And then that continued into us going forward with some more tryouts for our swiftwater and dive rescue team, which, if I understand correctly, we have at least 12 who have passed the first set of qualifications, so that's great. And in addition to that, you can see those numbers as far as our social media engagement, how that's continuing to grow, which doesn't include from this weekend the fundraiser that our guys participated in. Their prayer time this weekend had more than 18,000 plays so far. So,
Yeah, really good.
Any questions for me?
Great, thank you, Nikki.
and I
Thank
hope
you.
y'all like your little promotional items that y'all approved to purchase. So all of those went out on the trucks to be split up amongst the stations, along with the stickers and the helmets, the logo helmets. So the guys are excited. And they were able to actually use those this weekend when they participated in Super Duper Heroes Day out at Jellystone Park.
Okay, good. And I want to thank you for getting with the guy from the Shrine, since they do a lot with burned children, to help them out, so.
Well,
appreciate it.
unfortunately, we can't, it's my understanding that we cannot use taxpayer dollars for donations.
Okay.
So we weren't able to purchase crayons, but I did speak to him and say if there's, some other way that we could help as far as maybe setting up an engine and a crew there to greet kids, that's something that we would love to participate. So he was going to look at that and see what our options were, but that we couldn't help in that capacity, but maybe in a different way.
He just told me you helped him out, so undoubtedly there'll be something coming, so
Yes.
that's good. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, item 11, Assistant Executive Director's Report on Support Services. Larry?
Commissioners, in front of you, you have my report. One thing to really note is it's not changed a lot from the last report. Historically, I've brought to you a month-to-date report. In effort, we're moving back our cutoff time to make agenda setting a little easier. And to comply with that, I'm starting to do a month prior report, so you'll only see about a week extra data on this report than what you saw in the last report. So unless there's any questions on that report, we can move on.
No, I mean, I'll just make the assumption that where we have some increase in some of our observations, that we're kind of refocusing some of our one-on-one engagement to try to curtail some of that growth.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Item 11.2, discuss, consider, and take action on the purchase of janitorial supplies for inventory restock. Authorize purchase supplies from Sierra Packaging at a cost of $4,329.22. This is a budgeted item, right?
It's within budget, yes, sir, and it's been through evaluation. You have the evaluation tabulation in front of you.
Yeah, I don't have any questions about it.
I'll entertain a motion then, we approve it. Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, we approve the amount from Sierra Packaging.
Second the motion for approval at $4,329.22.
And second by Commissioner Domney. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.3, discuss, consider, and take any action on purchasing 8. Always something pops up on the screen in the way. Purchasing 8 new tires for troop plow trailer at a cost of $3,024.04. Authorize staff to purchase 8 new tires for the troop plow from Southern Tire Mott at a cost of $3,024.04.
Commissioners, these tires are only about 4 years old. There's a picture of them in front of you. They do need to be replaced. We're going back with the larger ply tires, so they should last a little longer. It is within budget, and it is a contract vendor.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the purchase of new tires for the troop plow in the amount of $3,024.04.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to purchase 8 new tires for the Troop Plow Trailer from Southern Tire Mart at a cost of $3,024.04. Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. All right. 11.4, discuss, consider, and take action on the purchase of workout equipment for staff stations.
Commissioners, this is within budget and is in partnership with operations. This is a necessary piece of equipment. My understanding, this is what they're going to use to do all of their physical training and test on. So they're looking to have the same piece of equipment in all of those stations.
Commissioners, we're incorporating the DPS standard, our Texas DPS utilizes, and the rowing machine is low impact, so it is definitely gets an aerobic test in place. There's a standard that we're going to work off of. We'll evolve into it. It'll take a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, but it requires your support in terms of the equipment.
And this did go through an evaluation tabulation. You have those results in front of you.
I'll make a motion that we purchase these 12 rolling machines at $11,940 for 12 of them.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to authorize the purchase of 12 rowing machines at a cost not to exceed $11,940.
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Dominy. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. All right. 11.5, discuss and consider and take action on the purchase of 2 totes of Phoschick for inventory resupply. Authorize staff to purchase this from NAFCO at a cost not to exceed $18,990, which that's our foam, right?
It is foam, and the evaluation tabulation is before you.
Okay.
Make the motion that we approve the purchase of 2 totes from NAFCO not to exceed $18,990.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to authorize purchase of 2 totes from NAFCO of Phoschick for a cost not to exceed $18,990. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.6, discuss, consider, and take action on purchasing supplies and equipment for a wildland fire response module.
Commissioners, this is a budgeted project, project identified. The project ID is within the funding request. This is to create a deployable module which will allow us to set down crates and create a rapidly deployable, lots of hose, lots of hand tools. In lieu of having to have a lot of trucks on scene, we're able just to put those personnel on scene, and they'd use it out of the cash. This is a line item award tabulation, so when you look at the evaluation tabulation, it's a little different. We save a lot of money that way, and so it's split up a little bit on each item.
And it is budgeted, right?
It is budgeted, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we authorize staff to purchase the requested items for rapid wildland response module, cost $27,749.28.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to authorize staff to purchase the module for wildland response at a cost of $27,749.28 from the approved vendors list.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.7, authorize staff to purchase 2 front tires and 1 inside rear tire for Chapel Hill Engine 136 from Southern Tire Mart at a cost of $2,388.88.
Commissioners, this item and the next item, both for tires. Tires do need to be replaced, and both are from Southern Tire Mart, our contracted vendor.
I'll make the motion that we approve the purchase 2 front tires and 1 inside rear tire for Chapel Hill Engine 136 from Southern Tire Mart, at the cost of $2,388.88.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to authorize the purchase 2 front tires and 1 inside rear tire for Chapel Hill Engine 136 from Southern Tire Mart at a cost of $2,388.88. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.8, authorize staff to purchase new front and rear tires for White House Tender 151 from Southern Tire Mart at a cost of $4,737.40.
I'll make that motion that we purchase a new front and rear tires for White House Tender 151 at a cost of $4,737.40.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to authorize the staff to purchase new front and rear tires for White House Tender 151 from Southern Tire Mart at a cost of $4,737.40. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Dominy. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.9. Discuss, consider, and take any action on the purchase of a replacement UPS for server room 2 at a cost not to exceed $20,344.
Commissioners, this is the oldest UPS in our fleet. It's no longer functioning. It's currently in bypass mode, meaning that it's not providing battery protection. It's a necessary item, although not line item specifically budgeted. It is within budget.
As I understood it, that the line item budget is over, but you have some underruns and other items that would help offset this cost, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
I make the motion that we approve the replacement of the UPS for server room 2 at a cost not to exceed $20,344.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to purchase a UPS server for room 2 at a cost not to exceed $20,344. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.10, discuss, consider, and taking action on purchasing new ice machine for Bullard Station 1 at a cost not to exceed $6,600.
Commissioners, this ice machine that's currently in this facility is undersized for what it's being utilized for. And this being a new 12-hour staff station, we're putting increased demand on it. We've had it repaired several times. All of the times it's been froze up because of its overutilization. Vendors were recommending replacement with a larger machine.
So what happens to this one if we buy a new one?
It'll go into the auction list at some point, the old one. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say, well, they give you any trading value on it?
I don't know about trade-in value. I think we'd be better off probably on putting it on the auction.
Okay. All right.
Make the motion that we approve the purchase of a new ice machine for the Boiler Station 1, cost not to exceed $6,600.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to allow the staff to purchase a ice machine for Bullard Station 1 not to exceed $6,600, and second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 11.11, discuss, consider, and take action on repairing the ice machine at Dixie Station 2 at a cost not to exceed $2,057.07.
Commissioners, this ice machine is not working properly. Our contracted vendor's been out and looked at it. They've evaluated it, and the listed repairs are going to be that $2,057.07. It does still have about 6 years left on its life, so I think it's worth repairing. We should go ahead and continue with that purchase.
Thanks, I was getting ready to ask if it's worth repairing or not, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Make the motion that we allow staff to schedule the J&J Commercial Services for the replacement of the water float valve, water pump motor, and install new water line and filtration at a cost not to exceed $2,057.07.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the repair cost of $2,057.07 for the ice machine at Dixie Station 2. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.12, discuss, consider taking action on replacing the HVAC system at Dixie Station 2 at a cost not to exceed $10,000.
Commissioners, 11.12 and 11.13, I'd ask for you to table.
Okay. Support Services Director's asked us to table those two items. Is that all right with everybody? Okay.
Yes.
We'll consider those two items tabled then.
Thank you.
11.14, discuss, consider, and take necessary action on installing an in-wall exhaust fan in the apparatus bay at Chapel Hill Station 1, Dixie Station 2, and Ridge Spring Station 2, and at Fleet.
Commissioners, these facilities are very warm, especially in the summertime. There's no true ventilation in those buildings. These would be putting exhaust evacuation fans in to allow us to evacuate the exhaust fumes better from the station, as well as provide some circulation of the air in the hot summer months.
How about winter time? Do they have
They're
special
louvered.
louvers?
They are louvered fans.
Make sure they get good sealed?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll make that motion. Pro Electric Contractors to install in-wall bay fans at Chapel Hill 1, Station 36, Dixie 2, Station 72, Red Springs 2, Station 22, and Fleet at a cost not to exceed $20,775.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Wilson. I have a second.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Domney. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.15, discuss, consider, and take any action on repairing electrical problems at Jackson Heights Station 2 at a cost not to exceed $3,435.
Commissioners, this is mainly replacing failed ballast, going back with LED retrofits where appropriate. And there's one switch that needs to be having some of the circuitry changed up to allow for some lights to be on and some lights to be off.
Okay. Make the motion that we authorize staff to contract our vendor for the electrical problems detailed in the background at cost not to exceed $3,435.
Commissioner Domney, a motion by Commissioner Domney to allow the contracted vendor to repair the electrical problems detailed in the background at a cost not to exceed $3,435. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 12, Chief of Operations report.
Commissioners, you have my report. I'd point out a couple of things for you, that we did do the final inspection on the 3 Pierce pumpers that were purchased some time ago. Those are now in the Siddons Martin shop in Longview, getting some final make ready before they are moved over to our fleet shop, and then they'll get the tools and equipment upfitting, radios installed, and a few other things. But this is progressing along nicely, although it's been a long time coming. I certainly respect that, but I'm proud to report that these are going to be great apparatus for us. The inspection on was very well, and proud to see them come serve Smith County. The additional one you've seen in my Friday report is progressing along nicely in Florida. Florida normally hasn't built that enforcer with a big block motor in it, and so those typically have been done in Wisconsin, but they're trying to make up ground. I'm not sure they're making up ground, or they're getting a lot of orders that are people trying to get ahead of the curve. And so it doesn't seem like they're making progress, but they're certainly capitalizing on a lot of orders from everything that I've seen. But I'm happy to see that progress along nicely, as we were promised by the factory last year when I brought that before you.
Chief, is that the only real difference in between the two assembly facilities, is one was doing big block and the other one not?
No, there's a number of things, but they really withheld all of that from Florida. They were doing the medium duty, the smaller blocks, and, not doing the independent tack force suspension. A lot of things they were withholding from Florida because of what they've done to try and get ahead of their backlog. They're now shipping that stuff down to Florida from Wisconsin. They're also building cabs now in Tennessee. So there's a number of things they're doing to try and get more efficient and effective at their operation. It just is.
So does it warrant going in and doing some other in-process inspections rather than waiting until final assembly or completion of final assembly to ensure that we're getting the product we're looking for?
Yeah, everything that I've seen, all the pictures, so we get the detailed pictures, if you're able to follow along on the Siddons Martin in production site, it is exactly the same as what you would get at the Pierce plant in Wisconsin. It's just built on a smaller assembly line.
Okay.
All the same engineering, all the same parts, all the same, quality control measures are in place. So I'm pretty comfortable that it's going to be equal to our expectations in the past on what we've received from Siddons Martin.
I'll just be frank about it. I'd rather spend a little bit of money now to ensure that it is, rather than have 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road,
Sure.
figure out that it wasn't.
Sure.
Because it's going to cost a lot more then than it does to correct now. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So are you suggesting to make a trip down there and look at it, or are you making it?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
More than one.
Yeah, it will require a pretty quick, because it's moving along fast, so I would have to jump on that really quick.
Okay.
But happy to work that.
McCann? Yeah, you and Mike.
Yeah, I'm happy to work that. We can do a day trip there and back.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sherry did report on our recruiting efforts, and pleased to report that we have several firefighters in review there in the application phase, and lieutenants as well, and we'll begin to process those. The cutoff date was September the 6th, so they're still open for a few more days. I already spoke with you about the CAD project. I am excited about the CAD project. I think all parties involved, including ESD1, the City of White House Fire, Chief Madison Johnson from White House, we're all very much hip sync in the project and what it means for us. Really being able to dispatch on a common platform with the same policies and procedures of dispatching methodologies. So I'll be able to share more with you as we're getting ready to present that to you, but the pricing was obviously an effort by Motorola to assure that Smith County didn't walk away. So I think that the county got some preferred pricing. I think those translate into what was offered for us. And I'll be happy to share that with you when it gets time. I think that comes along in the October meeting is when we would be able to do that. Maybe even a special call, depending on how that works out. The auction is complete, and we've received our money. In fact, today we received the check for $107,000 on the auction. That was the round one of the auction. We haven't started a second round of the auction, but pleased that went off without a hitch, and we now have our money that came in today. Nikki did speak with you a moment ago about the TIFMAS deployments. They've been very active. Lots of fires have been developing. The state has ordered up a ton of additional resources to Central Texas, to the Hill Country. Our first deployment was really to Burke Burnett area north of Wichita Falls. They've been very active. In fact, they moved them to the Possum Kingdom fire that occurred a day or two ago. Lots of activity in that part of Texas, and really trying to stay ahead of that and not have another catastrophic fire like we had earlier in the year up in Amarillo. So appreciate your support with us. That the experiences gained and the training from those are just priceless, and so I'm pleased that we're in the game and we're supporting Texans helping Texans. If you look at the training report, I'll point to the safety stand down. As you know, a little over a month ago, we had a firefighter struck on a roadway. Fortunately, those injuries were very minor in nature. We never did locate the vehicle that struck. So despite all the efforts of trying to find who did that and try to capture as much information from that, we We were unsuccessful working with our law enforcement partners to do that, but we did go into a safety stand down on traffic safety, traffic management safety, how we operate on the roadways. And we're trying to capture lessons learned, things that we can do better for early warning, utilization of the blockers, a lot of things that we're trying to incorporate in the operation, so that we don't repeat that again. That's the phone call that you don't want, to get a phone call that you're going to the hospital from a firefighter struck on the roadway. Commissioners, that's the bulk of my report. Without getting into the calls for service, we did run 845 calls for service in the month of July, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else on it.
Thank you, Chief. All right, 12.2, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on personnel attending the TIFMA Symposium in Waco. And approve the amount of $5,570 for 7 personnel to attend the TIFMA Symposium. Who's going to speak on that?
Yes, Commissioners, again, priceless training that includes things like single resource boss, initial attack, reimbursements, to name a few. How we recover, the cost recovery associated with TIFMAS. It's nice to be able to help throughout the state of Texas, but we certainly want to make sure that we recover all of the funds back. We've done a great job of doing that. The evidence is pretty clear on that, but we want to make sure that we maximize our return on the investment in classes that are offered like that at TIFMAS Symposium, drill down into some of the details of that. Including some of the other things, the operations of attack and fire attack and things of that nature. I do have 7 members that will be attending that. Those are all part of a deployable resources that we have that are with active task books in play, and they're actively deploying for us.
Make the motion that we approve the amount, $5,570 for 7 personnel to attend this TIFMA Symposium.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the $5,570 for 7 personnel to attend the TIFMA Symposium in Waco. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 12.3, discuss, consider, and take any action on personnel attending the Texas Fire Chiefs Association's October Battalion Chiefs Academy. Approved request of $3,908 to allow 2 battalion chiefs to attend the October Battalion Chiefs Academy. Chief Fraser?
Commissioners, I've been a part of the Texas Fire Chiefs Academy for a number of years now. I'm a graduate of the Texas Fire Chiefs Academy and have nothing but great things to say what the Texas Fire Chiefs have done to develop out next generation leaders in the state of Texas. They've expanded that offering even all the way down to company officer. This particular request is for a battalion chief academy that will occur in Grapevine on October 27th through the 31st. I do have 2 battalion chiefs that I want to send. They're our newest battalion chiefs. That'll give them some of the core competencies and skills associated with leading as a battalion chief within Smith County.
I'll make the motion that we approve the request for $3,908 to allow 2 battalion chiefs to attend the October Battalion Chiefs Academy.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the expenditure for 2 battalion chiefs to attend the Battalion Chiefs Academy, and a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 12.4, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on personnel attendance to the Capital Area Wildfire Academy. Speak on that, Chief Reader.
Yeah, Commissioners, I have 7 members that will be attending the Bastrop Capital Area Wildfire Academy. That is a predominant school for the state of Texas and our wildfire development. This one gets into classes that are offered like, for example, dozer operator, fire weather, aerial operations, utilizing aerial assets. An excellent opportunity for those to grow and develop, much like the TIFMA Symposium, just at a more operations level. So I'm excited to see the interest in go, and that will certainly pay dividends in our abilities here in Smith County.
So,
What's the cost?
yeah, so the seven, yeah, I've got the seven that are going to the symposium, are they the same seven going here? Or is it
No.
a different group?
Not, there, I'm just making sure there's no overlap. There is one overlap, but most of those are different, that are going to the two different classes.
And
And were you requesting a,
$6,232.36.
Okay.
It's not written in there, but,
It's not in there?
yeah, I looked it up.
Okay. 6,000, how much?
232.36.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the training for the personnel to attend the Capital Area Wildlife Academy for $6,232.36.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the personnel to attend the Capital Area Wildfire Academy at a cost not to exceed $6,232.36. Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 12.5, discuss, consider, and take any action on the purchase of a set of Reso jacks.
yeah, it's a clever way of calling it rescue jacks with a Q. Those,
okay.
those are a patented lifting buttress-style jack that supports things like heavy trucks that are rolled over on their side to provide vehicle stabilization and support. They do have some capacity to lift with. They are an industry best product for that type of lifting and stabilization of heavy trucks and heavy equipment. Most recently, we've had box trucks that have been on their side. We've had some heavy 18-wheelers on their side with people trapped inside. So this will give us some ability to stabilize the vehicle with equipment that we don't currently carry.
So the cost of that is $11,410.
Correct. We won't carry that on all the apparatus. That's not something that you put across the fleet. We'll have to strategically deploy that. For example, the rescue truck in Red Springs.
Didn't I read also that they'll come to you and provide training for these?
Correct. That is the plan.
It's included in the price?
Correct.
I'll make the motion to purchase rescue jacks from Advanced Rescue Systems at a cost of $11,410.
Motion by Commissioner Wilson to approve the purchase of a set of rescue jacks from Advanced Rescue Systems at a cost of $11,410. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Dominy. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 12.6, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on payoff of the lease dozer in the amount of $119,382.50.
Commissioners, in the auction, if you'll remember back, we talked about repairing the old John Deere 450 dozer. We went through a process there to ascertain whether or not that was cost effective. A lot of the parts were out of production. We did put it in the auction with your approval. It brought almost $30,000 in the auction. So we did very well on what we had in the dozer for what we actually sold the dozer for. I did articulate a minute ago how well the auction performed in totality. If you'll remember, last year in September, we brought before you the opportunity to lease that dozer. Last year, this time, we had some pretty significant volume of fire behavior within the county. And with the John Deere 450 out of service, we felt like it was right to lease a dozer. We've done that successfully from that time forward, from September to today, which is just shy of a year. And there is a payoff amount to keep the dozer now at $119,382.50. I do point out that piece of equipment has been mission critical for us. We've even deployed it today on a smaller fire down in Noonday, but very essential that we run dozer equipment throughout the county.
I'll make the motion that we approve the lease payoff amount of $119,382.50 for the Caterpillar D3 dozer lease from Hope Cat, and authorize Chief Greaser to sign any related documentation.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to approve the lease payoff in the amount of $119,382.50 for the Caterpillar D3 dozer lease from Hope Cat, and authorize Chief Greaser to sign any related documentation. Do I have a second?
I just need to make sure that,
Yeah.
we're correct in that the nominal $107,000 that we received from the auction goes into the capital equipment budget.
Correct.
And if you allocate that, we're looking at.
Capital apparatus
I'm sorry, capital apparatus, yes.
Correct.
We're about 12,000 is what we're gonna make up to pay this off.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So with that, I'll second the motion.
Second motion, okay?
Yep.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, saying nay. That motion carries. 12.7, discuss, consider, and take any action on purchase of second set of structural PPE for staff. This is a single source item, and it's 36 sets of gear from NAFCO at a cost not to exceed $133,307. As you know, that's more or less is what OSHA is starting to require us to have 2 sets of PPE for everybody, so.
Yeah, Commissioners, this project was started a few years ago, before my arrival. It does take a number of years to put that in place, to get to a second set. All of these are for paid staff, all 36 sets, and they're of paid staff that don't currently have a second set. So that means when you come out of a fire and you're laundering gear, they're without a second set to get into immediately. They'd have to borrow or take from stock somewhere to hold them over, if you will. It's also important to note that you don't want to run out and do a full first and second set at the same time. All of your gear will be expiring at the same time. So the plan that was put in place, like I said before me, as I review it, was actually pretty sound. That it staggered it in. Rather than buying a large purchase all at once and then have it all phase out at the same time. So the staggered in approach, the things that we've done in next year's budget, in the workforce plan to recapture the replacement cycles and how that works, I think we're on track for a maintenance kind of a plan for how we maintain the primary and the secondary sets of gear.
And because this was in plan, it's also in budget, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
I make the motion to authorize the purchase 36 sets of gear from NAFCO for the cost not to exceed $133,307.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to authorize purchase 36 sets of gear from NAFCO for a cost not to exceed $133,307. Have a second. Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Discuss, consider, and taking necessary action on auction of decommissioned equipment.
Commissioners, before you have a plan to decommission 3 pieces of equipment. Those were identified both in the right sizing of the fleet. They're also identified in the points matrix system to age out or determine when a piece of equipment is no longer feasible to remain in the fleet. You'll see that all 3 of those pieces of equipment have various reasons for coming out of service. The Flint Gresham support Tahoe is in bad shape and in need of repairs. It doesn't look like that's the right thing to do to repair it at this point, given its age and the needed repairs for that. Dixie engine 172 has been replaced with the new engine 172. Unfortunately, this one has been rode very hard and has lots of issues with it. And so the determination is that with its points assessment, that we should consider it for auction, and that's why I have it before you tonight. The 2006 ARP Tender 1 had no utilization, has some tank issues, and it also has a manual shift transmission that we're really struggling to have drivers that drive it. And so I think it's best that we capture the residual value as it sits today and place it in auction.
Was it ARP or is it Red Springs 122?
Did I say that wrong?
No. Yes. It was reassigned. It was an ARP apparatus. It was reassigned to Red Springs, so.
It's white in color, so I said ARP.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Charles.
I make the motion, we approve the decommissioning of the listed assets and allow staff to proceed with the auction of these assets, as well as allocating the proceeds to the capital apparatus fund.
Motion by Commissioner Wilson to approve the decommissioning of the listed assets and allow staff to proceed with auction of these assets as well as allocating the proceeds to the capital apparatus fund. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dommy. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. All right, item 12.9 is information concerning Troop City Council meeting on August 19th, 2024. Eric, are you going to speak on that, or?
Commissioners, Commissioner Brown, you were at the meeting with us. Unfortunately, the other commissioners couldn't be there due to a quorum issue. But we did have Brad Edwards that was also there with Eric Edstrom and myself at the troop meeting that occurred this past Monday. I did copy my notes of the things that I spoke specifically on. Those are before you. I've also included the letter that we received from Mayor Hall of Troop that was a request at the end of my presentation to the Troop City Council that we bring that before you and have you consider that. Basically, I felt it was my obligation to not hold on to that. I need to present that to you as a commission and have you look that over. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have related to that. I think there are some from Troop that are here tonight.
I know at the meeting that Mr. Edstrom stood up, and we do have budget in place to continue the staffing and everything there, this proposed budget.
There's
So-
nothing in the proposed budget that will change
Right.
what is in place right now.
Right, so,
Of course, cannot speak for any future budgets, but.
or any future board right now,
Correct.
so. But the whole board needs to be made aware of it, and since Commissioner Thornton and Commissioner Edwards knows about it, but Commissioner Thornton needs to be made aware of it. We'll can put it on a future agenda if we need to, or whatever, and discuss it further. But it's something I feel like the whole board needs to be in on when we do it, not just a quorum.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the information, and if the board sees that it needs to take action, then we'll schedule it for a future meeting.
Yeah,
But
so.
I don't have any comments to the information provided. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on from that then, so, we'll get everybody aware of it, and we can take appropriate action another time if we need to. 12.10, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on purchase of water rescue equipment. Chief Creaser?
Yes, Commissioners, as you know, this was an identified project within the current budget. It was approved in the 23-24 budget as a budget initiative, a project initiative of operations. What you have before you is a request of $35,349.50 of a budget of $40,000. So we're well within budget. You know, if you'll remember back, I want to be transparent, we talked about the equipment for Engine 176 and how we would get there, and we've held back on several of these things to get to this part of the budget cycle. We felt like we're at the right window here to bring that before you. We're going to be within budget in those lines, so we're good to go.
I just want to say, I know that y'all have held off on buying some of this stuff until the end of the budget year so we can see where we're at because of the budget constraints we're under, and I appreciate that. But that money is there, and it's budgeted, and it's within budget, so.
Yeah, we promised that we would wait until we knew, and then we're at that point in the budget, so that's why it's before you tonight.
Yeah, I just want to say something. This equipment is definitely needed, especially in our county. As one of the 2 divers in not only Smith County, but East Texas, I was one of them for many years here, rescue diver. And I've seen all this other rescue equipment come forth, and I've seen a lot of it with our out-of-staters coming in with the rafts and everything. And it's definitely needed in this county for quick response. So I'm gonna make the motion that we approve the purchase of the water rescue equipment for a total amount of $35,349.50.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to purchase the water rescue equipment for a total amount of $35,349.50.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Downing. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries.
Commissioner Brown, before we move on, I'd just like to make the statement that, you know, we've just gone through just a whole lot of purchases. And for those that may not necessarily come in here, it may look like we're just kind of rubber stamping things we go through, but there's a lot of preparatory work that goes into this, a lot of information that we're able to review prior to coming in here. So, you know, there are some questions that we have, but for the most part, you know, y'all have done an excellent job at prepping the documents and clearly communicating the justification for our purchases and what they're purchased for. So thank you a
And
lot.
it's
It makes
been-
this process a
yeah.
lot better, a lot faster.
And it's been added to the budget before this happened, so it's there, which really helps, and we're not overspending, you know.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, gentlemen. Item 13, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on fire chiefs presenting, discussing issues with the board for future action. Art, Chief Arnold?
Okay. Everything on my report, I don't see any big issues on anything on it. I will like to let y'all know this will be my last meeting. Our next meeting will be at the same time that y'all have y'all's meeting. We'll have an incorporated meeting where I will be resigning as chief. Brad, step up, please. Mr. Domney, this is the young man that you're gonna get to aggravate tomorrow.
No, don't put it that way.
I'm sure that my board will accept my recommendation for Brad to be the next chief. He is the only person that has most of the qualifications that are required now. Most. Oh, you got all of them? Okay, he's good.
Okay.
So y'all won't have to aggravate him about training. The only thing he's gonna have to aggravate the rest of us is on training. But, that's all I've got. I just wanted y'all to be able to see the new face.
Are you gonna stay on as an honorary member to help out some?
Oh, yeah, I'm fixing to stay down there. I'm gonna help him keep his numbers up if I can.
Good.
Well, Chief, I just say, I appreciate you, and thank you for all the years of service you've given as chief. A lot of people don't know what a hard job that is to be a chief, even of a volunteer department. The hours you put in that nobody knows about, and I just wanna say thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Bullard?
Good afternoon. Not a whole lot to report tonight. With 21 on the roster at the moment. Some of the trainings that we've worked on in the last month have been forcible entry. Had the prop from Flint brought down to the Bullard station for them to work on a little bit. Did send a small crew over to the rat trap in White House. And then upcoming this next month, they're going to be working on communications and room searches. And so continuing certifications with ISO, officer, EMR, and some taking some TCFP testing for firefighter 2 right now. They had a PR today with the Scouts, kind of a back-to-school bash. Scouts doing a little bit of recruiting along with them as well. We have a PR scheduled for this Friday at Brook Hill for the Warrior Bowl. It's kind of an annual event with them. And then East Texas Locals has reached out and invited all area fire departments to a 9/11 tribute that they have in September on the 7th. It'll be at the Tyler Pounds Airport. So they were encouraging any departments that wanted to come to participate in that. And then we also have all of our schools scheduled for fire prevention awareness, and I think I've emailed Nikki about that as well. So Brook Hill, early education, primary, and soon to be the daycare as well. That's there in town. Other than that, I have nothing else unless you have any questions.
Chief Riley, there's a couple of personnel that are shown on your roster that are shown as inactive, but actually have some activity for the period. And the reason I noticed it, I was going through just looking at the ratio of active volunteers versus the number on your roster, just looking at percent basis, and I picked up on those two, so you might want to double check and.
Numbers or just hours?
Both.
Okay. I know one was probably a recent inactivation, and I think some of those may stay on the report for a little while for the paper call stipends to pay out after they've left. And so those may be leftovers from the previous
Okay, so it
quarter.
may just be the period of 31, so they may have since
Correct.
the end of, okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chapel Hill, Chief Peterson.
We've been pretty active, pretty much in Chapel Hill, of what we've been doing. We've been working still with the Chapel Hill High School. We've done a back-to-school event at the high school itself, so we set up a booth with all our new recruiting stuff, that we set up our signs and banners to help with recruiting and talking with the kids and also the parents. And also we helped supported the Chapel Hill High School band for all this time during the summertime with the heat. We went out there one day and asked them to spray water on them, try to cool them down. So we helped them on that as well. So we do a lot with the school down there, the high school. Certification, I had 4 members that went to the Middle School and did classes down there. I sent 3 members of my department, did the EMR course to UT Health, and they all passed that course, and now they're getting ready to take their national register. So we got 3 more from the medical side. Also got 1 in Officer 1 class. It's in that. We'll be finishing up here next month on the Officer 1. Then I also have 1 member receive their SFMA support certification already, and another one that received is SFMA wildland certification. So we have been pushing them pretty much for our new members coming in. I also have 1 of my officers help support the ESD on the dive team testing. He's been certified, so I asked him for help. He's been helping there to help the ESD out. He'd appreciate that. And also he's had a deal or tour with the Texas Task Force 2 facility in Dallas. He is trying to working with them as well to try to better his part as well. Then during our training, we did training with our PPE usage and maintenance to our August training, and also we did the Stop the Bleed course. So I did get some help from the UT EMS for some of their props. So they donated, help us use that, and then where we can keep up our new training on that as well. So that's pretty much what we've done so far.
Did you pick up any applications when you did your deal at the school?
No, we didn't. We're still working. In fact, we'll be going again. The school will always be calling me. I know at least 2 more times we'll be going to school, and we're going to try to hit them again. The best time we do is when we get near the end of the school year, when the senior starts to graduate, and that's when we usually try to pick up some more help. Okay?
So you had a really busy month. I appreciate it. Also want to recognize you for the highest percent of active personnel in your roster. You're sitting at 65%, which is great. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Flint, Chief Stone?
I don't have a whole lot. We had 7 that went to Teagues. Lost my notes. We've had 1 complete ISO. We had 1 that got their EMTB, which means he's also fixing to now apply for his TCFP, so we'll have another fully certified. We've got 1 in Officer 1. We have 2 in the instructor's class. As far as training, our last training, we did hose deployment for wildland because we all know that that's getting time, so we're getting ready so we can match up with paid staff. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Great, appreciate it.
Yep. Anyone here from Noonday? Troop?
Commissioners, currently at our department, we're addressing some administrative issues that we're going through a change right now. We're getting that cleaned up right now. I'll have more information for you guys after we get all of that completed. Other than that, we are working through all of our continuing education training. In fact, we have the Lucas training at our station right now as we speak. Other than that, I don't have a lot for you, unless you have some questions for me. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. White House, Chief Champion. Come on, Paul.
Everything's been going on good with White House right now. We've got 2 that we're still awaiting applications, waiting to hear back from that. We also got, Cindy got in the other day, she got some grant, got a grant for, what am I trying to think of? Huh? Yeah, recruitment material for recruiting. That's basically about it. Everybody knows about, Chief Greaser and I talked about it a little earlier. I'll touch on it just a little bit, about the situation we had Saturday week ago. Started out on Lake, it all went down on Lake Tyler. It started out in Arps District. Had 2 boats. One boat ran over another boat. The other boat had 3 personnel on it. The guy that ran over them recovered 2 of the personnel, but we had 1 personnel that was missing. Time the situation escalated and got on going into the morning, or into the early morning, we had multiple departments out there dealing with the situation. Had game warden, Tyler PD, City of White House guys, plus Art White House, Chief Greaser for a little while, was even involved in it. The situation turned out not to be a good situation, but in reality, also I forgot to mention on the departments, we had a Longview dive team come in as the situation got on in the morning. The situation turned out not to be a good situation, but in the recovery end of the situation, the process and the speed of the action of that through Longview dive team plus the game wardens, the recovery process turned out being fairly quick. We had the situation under control and the recovery done before noon that morning. So it turned out great. I had, believe y'all me, I'll tell y'all, and it's, that was the first situation since we had purchased a boat. We had one that made our department, that we discussed and decided to purchase a boat. That was 4 or 5 years back. But that was the first situation that we dealt with, that we had a boat call on the lake with a missing person. Longview dive team come in. They came in with a 5-member team. They were freaking awesome. I learned a lot from them in the short time that I dealt with them. They got there, they asked me, as soon as they got there, they had a little Kodiak boat, and they said, where we're going, can we just use your boat? I said, sure. We'll load up and see what we can do, and that's what we did. We put the dive team plus all their equipment on our boat and went out there, and the recovery efforts from them was awesome. They were a good group, and I guess that's all I've got.
Thank you. Winona, Chief Allen.
As far as Winona goes, man, we've been actively pursuing in some of our training. We've got one in Officer 1. We've got three that have completed their EMR class with EMS. 2 have recently achieved their national registry in the EMR. So that's about all I got as far as Winona goes, man. We are training, trying to be there to support wherever we can.
I saw y'all did some training on sprinkler heads.
Yes, sir. Got nice and wet. It's a good time for it.
So Chief, we got 6 single volunteer responses in the past month. And, you know, they go from anywhere from MVAs to vehicle fires. You know, I can understand, you know, maybe the road hazard, not necessarily, you know, full team going out, nor in some cases medical assist, but the MVAs and such are those, and those appear to be in your district. Is there some reason why we're not getting full deployment?
Well, you got, what is it, 1, 2, 3 of them there. Saturday, we got 2 of them that were during the day where we're at work. The one on the Saturdays, we were actively pursuing training. They've been on them EMR classes and trying to get studied for those national registries, and it just wasn't available. We're trying to get some folks that have been deactivated due to IT access. So we're trying to get them back on, and it's been a long, lengthy process at this point.
I suspect that we probably need to visit on this a little bit more then, as to what's preventing you from doing and how you're, you know, how you're doing your training. You know, if you're taking everybody that you have and sending them training all at one time and leaving the district without any representation, then and I think we need to consider and look at different ways to address some of this. Most especially if you have some IT issues, then I'm not aware that there's anything that IT did. It's just the fact people didn't show up when they should have. So,
well, there should be a way to have a reporting system out there to allow me as a chief to know, other than to have to go look up individual users of when their termination date is, as far as when they were assigned.
But the individuals know, right?
Most of my guys don't mess with the ESD email due to the multiple phishing attempts and entrapment processes.
So ignorance is not an excuse.
I understand. Yeah, it's the only answer I got for you, sir.
Okay.
All right. We'll go to closed session now. The board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074.
Hold on a second.
You may want to address item 5.2. We didn't cover that one. That one you skipped.
Oh, okay.
So just.
Yeah, okay. We'll go back to 5.2, which, I don't think there should.
No action be taken.
Yeah.
No
No
action be
action taken on 5.2 because we took the action on that, so it's taken. So, anyway, back to the closed meeting. And 551.074, no action shall be taken while the board is in closed session. Any final action, final decision, or final vote shall be taken at the board reconvenes in open session. And we are adjourned at 7:29. And I'll need Eric and Larry here, everybody. Call this meeting back to order at 7:51 PM. Under item 15.1, discuss, consider, and take any action on the purchase of real property. Ratify a contract is executed, authorize payment of $10,000 earnest money and a balance due of $590,000 to Central Title Company plus any closing costs attributable to the buyer, and authorize the board president to sign all closing documents.
Make the motion as read.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dominy, motion is read, and second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 16, remarks by presiding officer and/or board members, information updates, items to be placed on future agendas, and future meeting dates, times, and/or locations. Brent, you have anything?
No, sir.
Joel?
No.
Okay, well, I don't have anything either. Guys, we just appreciate all the hard work y'all do, and just keep doing what you're doing, and take care of our people out there. That's all we can do. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
So made, we are adjourned at 7:52 PM.